Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight to our Center for Peace. Please come on in, grab a seat. I promise there are enough seats for you. We found every chair in the building and brought it into this room, so thank you. And yes, so my name's Kathy Merchant. I'm the Minister of Community Life here at Canadian Memorial United Church and Center for Peace. And tonight we have this event here at the Center for Peace because everything, all the programming we try to do here, we want to be for the sake of nurturing peace in the world. And so back in July, John Maba and Keith Whiten and their families contacted us and said, we're doing this amazing thing where we just purchased a bunch of berths on the Canadian Railway and we want to start a peace train. And we were wondering, since you do the Center for Peace, if you might be able to have an event here. And we thought that was amazing. And so we've been working with them since that. You're going to get to meet them in a little bit. So we're just so grateful. So thank you for joining us tonight. Come on in, everybody. And yes, and then just a few housekeeping things. So we have a lineup of speakers in a lot of different parts, some music. It's going to be a really beautiful night. Hopefully you all find it very inspiring, very fun. People made tons of soup. Thank you so much to everybody who made the soup and everything for this. And if you need to go out, the washrooms are right through there. We also, I know the Peace Train folks are selling a lot of merchandise for the Peace Train, which you can see here. And also the Multifaith Calendar is being sold. And this is also the launch event by the Multifaith Action Society for the annual calendar. Because I used to be on the board, and when I was talking to Bernard, my good friend, who you'll hear from later, and he said this year our focus is on pathways to peace. And I said, well, can we do this event together? So we're just very happy to have everybody here. So if you want to get a calendar, you can get that there. If you want to get any of the merchandise, it's out there. Also, I just need to look at the name of this group. It is World Beyond War, has donated a bunch of free books. So they're also on a table there right outside the front office. So later on when you go out, please feel free to pick up as many as you'd like. And so thank you to all who are doing that. And in a little bit, we're going to have some food. We'll take a break for food. But first, I want to welcome Mary Point of the Musqueam Nation and turn it over to her. So Mary, over to you.
Hi, Kathy. Each while, hello, bonjour. Asiam Nasiaya, Anta Mary Point, Tinitzanacho Musqueam. Ia Makwam, Ichla Ayalmuch, Ichla Squayos, Ichla Sasnam, Ichla Homusqueam, Indian Reserve number 2. Ichla Chalakan, Amid Zapquatquilam. In the language of my ancestors, I let you know my name is Mary Point and I'm from Musqueam. Today, we're gathered in a place that was once known as the Boggy Place, the home of the Silski, the two-headed serpent that slithered across the area towards the Fraser and left in its wake what would become our streams, long since culverted. And when it got to the shore, as it headed into the water, it left behind a bunch of beautiful river grass with a purple floret called the muskie plant. Our family, the Musqueam people, have lived along the shores and have lived here near the Boggy Place at Ayalmuch, the gathering place, up on the ridge, the place of panorama where our warriors could keep watch, down at our port city of Sasnam, which means the right way. Currently, the bulk of our community members live in Indian Reserve number 2, but just to the west is Calacan, the place of our great warrior, Keapalanuch. Keapalanuch went on a journey not unlike what you're about to go on, you Peace Train people. He went on a few journeys, but he was also a protector. He was keeping watch on the west shore. And whenever boats would arrive, he would paddle out with his warriors to say, "Are you coming with good intentions? Do you come with peace?" He and my four greats, grandparents also were part of the journeys to Ottawa when they were in the time of the Niagara Treaty, which we did not sign. But it was a promise that was made and kept going as part of the Royal Proclamation that said, if we don't take arms up against these colonizers, they will not fight us, and we can live on our land and live in our way. But of course, as you know from history, that's not quite what happened. In the words of a great elder who passed away recently, Murray Sinclair, he said part of the change at the time of Confederation was how to control us would be to take our children. And that way we would be afraid to fight them for fear of what might happen to our children. Although lots of bad things happen to our children as well. But since then, if I think just about my Musqueam families in recent times, we ended up traveling to Ottawa ourselves on buses and in cars to fight for and win in the Supreme Court the Guerin decision, which was about the Indian agents of the day kind of sneaking our land away from us and lying to us about what they were getting paid for it. And we did end up over a 30 to 40 year period fighting that in a time when we weren't allowed to hire lawyers, but we eventually were successful. And in later years, the Sparrow decision, under the Constitution, we have the right to fish for food, and we do follow the DFO timing in the interest of preservation of fish. But they were also trying to tell us that we couldn't use certain kinds of nets, even though we always have. And so one of our relatives volunteered to get arrested. And then we ended up fighting that all the way to the Supreme Court. And again, our elders and our family, heads of family and our fishermen got in their buses and in cars and headed to Ottawa. So when I read about this peace journey for human rights and for the right to be who we are and to live in peace, I think I really have to raise my hands for those who are heading off on this journey. And the reason why I raise my hands is because I feel lifted up to be standing amongst you, and I want to lift you up in return and say a big Haitsepka. Thank you for your good work. There's never enough peace in the world, especially these days where our media feeds are just full of noise. So I really wish you well, and I ask my ancestors who are probably listening to me now that I've said their names and talked about their journeys. I hope that they'll travel with you along the way and keep you safe. So that's probably enough talking from me right now, but I want to send you on your way with a song. It's a song that comes from my great uncle Dominic Point, his traditional name Tiakthat. Tiakthat and the Point family hail from the Musqueam village of Quayach. Quayach, for those of you who are from the Lower Mainland, is now known as Garry Point in Steveston. So renamed by Captain Vancouver, who, like the Spanish before them, who came in waving that doctrine of discovery, declaring us non-humans, they renamed all our places and spaces after their friends and compadres. So they named Quayach Garry Point. And when it was determined that we were legally required to have a last name, it was decided that our last name would become Point. And I have a young niece who says, let's just get that name off us and take back our traditional names. But as I may have hinted at, there's been a bit of disruption in our culture, and to carry a traditional name, you must understand and learn and carry the stories of all of those who carried that name before you. So there's a bit of homework to do before we switch back to where we think we might have left off with the names. There's a bit of gaps in the history. And also, too, there's about 2,800 points now. So spread down the states and over the island and up the interior. And so I think the important part is we know who we are and where we come from. So I'm going to share this song that comes from Tiaktat, that comes from Kwayach, a song of the land. It's a song that we sing when we're entering a new community to let people know that we're coming with good intentions. And it's a song that we sing when we're standing in community to share a little bit about who we are. And it's a song that we sing at the beginning of any new journey, a wedding, a funeral, a graduation, or days like today as we celebrate the journey that you're about to head off onto. It's a song that I would love if you would sing along with me. So I'll sing it once and then maybe you'll jump in and sing it the second time. Or if there's, I think I've met a few people who've met me before, so you guys, I expect you to sing right from the beginning. Yo, 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 Manano, ay, excellent job, excellent. I hope you carry that song with you when you go. It's a song that the old people told us when they're out on the water. They sing that song over and over and over again until the ancestors come and sit with us. So I hope it brings you peace to know that. And so with that being said, I'll just leave you with these words. My heart is full to be standing with you and thinking about the days ahead. Oh, and I'll just let you know I can't stay because I have grandma duties. So otherwise I would love to stay. You have a very good agenda ahead of you. So no disrespect attended.
Thank you so much, Mary. That was so beautiful. And what a fantastic way to start the night and also to start the blessings for the peace train. Folks, if you've arrived, please come on in. I promise there are enough seats. Please grab a seat wherever you'd like. And actually, the next part is we're going to take just a little break to get some food. So many thanks to all the volunteers who made so much food. We have lots of soup. We have Ukrainian borscht soup, Palestinian lentil soup, I think other kinds of soup, I don't even know anymore. Also salads, and there's going to be dessert later. So in order to make it work, we kind of have the tables lined up this way. Probably the easiest thing to do will be to go out this door and then walk around and come back through the hallway so we're not kind of running into each other. And you can grab your bowls and your plates and everything right there and then come back. So we'll take a little break and the programming will start back up in about 15 minutes. Thank you. some soup and some delicious food. Come have a seat. There are still some seats over this way. Can you all hear me okay? Is that better? Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope the food is good. Please come on in. There are still a couple people getting soup, but we're going to get started. So please have a seat. There are still some seats over this way if you need to find a chair. And yes, so it's my pleasure to turn this over to Keith and Bernie Whiten, who are some of the organizers of this. So let's hear from them next about the peace train. Just don't take the mic out because he's got that.
Welcome from Bamfield and Port Alberni. Great to be here with you tonight. This is so fantastic. We love what Kathy has done here. We love what Kathy has done here with our peace train idea. We started this project in April, and the origination was a group of people in Bamfield writing letters to our government asking for a ceasefire in the Middle East. And there was a lot of discussion in the community, and we were thinking, what can we do? And the idea, I woke up one morning and I had this tune in my mind running in my head, and I didn't really know what it was, but I figured it out as I woke up that it was Cat Stevens' Peace Train. And at that point, the light went on. I was talking to Via Rail that afternoon, and it just grew from there. And basically what we're seeing here, what we're seeing here tonight is a result of connections, relationships. And that's really what we're trying to do when we're going to Ottawa. We believe in government. We're that generation that have a memory of Canada being more involved in the peace operations globally than we are today. And we think it's time to raise a discussion in the government, in the halls of power where the decisions are made. And there's a lot of cynicism and negativity about our social networks and relations. But we believe that it's just like when your car has a flat tire, you don't burn the car, you fix the tire. So it's it's all a human creation, and we can choose our future. And what we have here tonight is the beginning of an expression to tell our government there's still people in Canada that want peace, and we're attempting to build a constituency for peace. So thank you everyone for all that you've done. People have joined the train. We have 40 people on the train. It's been really interesting. There's about 15 to 18 people from Vancouver Island, 15 people connected with this church and with the Peace Center coming on the train, and then a few others, like 40 altogether. So I would like just to ask the people that are on the train if you would stand, just so people can see who you are. We believe that change happens through relationships. And our goal is that when we come home from Ottawa, we will have established relationships with people in Ottawa that we can carry on the conversation with. Nothing's going to happen very fast, but if we establish relationships in a respectful manner and bring the discussion of peace back into the Canadian public, we're very optimistic. The alternative isn't really acceptable. The death of the graveyard or the peace of the graveyard is not really where we want to go with our conflict resolution policy. So I'm just so blown away and gratified by everyone that's here tonight. And as you might know, with 40 people, this is the first time I get to see, Deb and Catherine and like face to face. We've been talking on emails and Facebook and Zoom for 5 or 6 months. And so this is really exciting for us. We get to see who we spend the next week with, in real life. So fantastic. And thank you for the food. Let's, and as you know, it takes a lot of different kinds of people to, as they say, fill a bus or fill a train. We have a journalist with us, John Longhurst from the Winnipeg Free Press. We have 8 people from Winnipeg, many of them out of the Mennonite tradition, but not exclusively Mennonite. But somehow there's something happening in Winnipeg around the peace issues. And we have also a journalist, John is our journalist, and Chase Tanner from Kicklight Films. Chase is traveling with us on the train. And we also have a second-year film student, Brynn Banson. She's at Cap College. She's from Port Alberni. She's going to be on the train with us, basically, building a record of what we're doing. Chase was a film person with 2 caravans for peace that happened already this year. One, the Pugwash Walk, and the other one, the caravan with Ellen Woodworth. Woodworth went to Ottawa from British Columbia. And he has footage from both of those caravans and pilgrimages. And with the work that he's going to do with us, he's going to build a larger piece. So thank you very much. I'm going to call on my wife, Bernadette, now. She has some words for you. Thank you.
It's such a joy to meet Bernadette in person. We've spent so much time together on Zoom. This is wonderful. So thank you, Bernie.
Okay, now hopefully this is good.
Yeah.
Train is a verb. If you want peace, train for peace. Look inside to see what brings your own and what brings the roil of war within. Look outside to see beyond the tangle of fear thinking to the one tribe on the one blue dot we call home. Look around to see me first is a seed of battle. Don't set your path through that field. Don't lose yourself in flaming forests of rage or drown in the rising sea of needless suffering. The enemy is othering. The enemy is not seeing what we're doing to ourselves. If you want peace, train your mind for peace. Come back to the table of wisdom, open the ears of your heart for all of us, and listen for the prompting of a new way home. So just a little about what I think peace is. Perhaps peace is slipping out of our culture because people haven't stopped to think about what it is or what allows it to flourish. Frequently, a first thought regarding peace is simply an absence of war, a neutral pacifist state, or a utopian wish. But we are here to bear witness to peace as a fundamental condition for survival and optimal functioning in our world. It is the domain of physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. More than an achievement or a destination, peace is a way of being in dialogue, relationship, and harmony. It is a relational field held by the truth of our inseparability. There is one suffering. There is one love. Peace is a process of constant adjustment toward enduring balance, stability, and security. It's like the process of homeostasis that allows living systems like those inside our body to regulate and respond to each other for the highest overall health and functioning. In this sense, peace is a relatively stable state of dynamic equilibrium. The dynamic part is the ongoing response to the challenges of constantly changing variables. The equilibrium part is the resilient tendency to heal, to bounce back into balance and harmony. The state of our living earth, personified as Gaia, reflects how we choose to nurture this gift of life or turn away from it. Clearly, our choices have led to an unprecedented disregard and disruption of global homeostasis, throwing multiple life systems out of kilter and into terminal tipping points. The ultimate affront to our grieving Gaia is war. War is disease. To quote Doug Roche, war causes starvation, deepens poverty, ruins environments, forces migrations of people, wrecks the rule of law, multiplies the gap between the rich and the poor, and causes prolonged misery for the most vulnerable. This contagion is spreading right now due to a failure of leadership, a distracted populace, and the avarice of an unchecked super spreader, the military-industrial complex. It destroys trust, security, and social cohesion. It ruins hearts and minds, even of the so-called victors, who take their own lives at an alarming rate every year. Today, tragically and pathetically, war is blocking the timely global response necessary to address the meta crisis at hand. To choose life, we must choose peace. This requires that we recognize and respect the interrelation and interdependence of all life. These values have been enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, drafted in 1948 from the ashes of our earth and 60 million human lives. A war-weary world came together to declare the fundamental rights and freedoms that belong to all of us, turning to diplomacy and a shared ethical framework to ensure history would not repeat itself. Canada, once a poster child for human rights, is now obstructive to global peace initiatives, including its rejection of the UN Declaration of the Right to Peace and its refusal to sign on to the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, intended to protect us, our children, and all forms of life from the most toxic weapons ever created. Meanwhile, out of 62,000 peacekeepers, Canada has collapsed its contribution from well over 3,000 personnel deployed to UN peace operations to only 26.
Shame.
We have also lost capacity for peace building with the demise of independent national peace centers, including the once lauded Pearson Peacekeeping Center and the highly regarded Canadian Institution for International Peace and Security, established by Pierre Elliott Trudeau in 1984. We need to get peace back on track. We need our best minds applied to advancing human rights and the conditions for peace, and we need a peace center and justice to accommodate them. Peace is not pretty. It's shaped from the raw materials of disagreement, discord, and disaster. It grows out of the compost of our mistakes, humbly allowing that we make them, courageously agreeing that we can all learn from them. Peace is not perfect. It's an intelligent perspective gained by constant surveillance, not to search and destroy difference, but to seek and discover a middle way forward, a shared path on the common ground we all stand on. Peace is possible. Once the ice of othering and me first is melted, peace can flow like one of Gaia's mighty rivers, and we have seen it can be pulled from the ashes of post-war trauma by the power of wisdom, truth, and reconciliation. Peace is near, but it may take a long time. We peace trainers are joining millions of citizens around the world to stay the course for as long as it takes, working together to generate creative, cooperative responses to the troubles of our time. Peace by nature is universal. As we enter that realm, let us declare, I am not alone. I'm not separate. There is one suffering. There is one love. May all beings be free of suffering, and may all beings be brought to love. So now I would like to call on an amazing, peace-loving, actually peace-embodying human being, my good friend, my teacher, Geshe Yangdong. He is from Courtenay. He's come to be with us tonight, and like Mary Point, has to leave to get back to the island tonight. But we are calling on him to call in the spirit of peace from his Tibetan Bon tradition. Thank you, Geshe.
This little higher? No, need Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, I'm very, very happy to be here, be with you. That first of all, before this blessing ceremony, I just want to share with you my expression as for your inspiration, your courage, your wisdom, to be here to support this peace train. So, and continue this strength of this inspiration expanding entire world. So for your journey through the train, I want this blessing, that the strength within you and longevity, health, well-being continue to the world, to the God, through the government. Everyone can hear, everyone can feel, everyone can see, every one of them can understand. So become oneness. So this, I want you to embrace that, this blessing. First blessing, then we can sing it together. Sudama Gamradana Mejana, Dazurama Gamradana Mejana, Dazurama Gamradana Mejana, Dazurama Gamradana Mejana, Dazurama Gamradana Mejana. Senanda Ima Duzun Zanje Gunje Guajon the Mojama Josepajama Jim Gundon Dana Nam Gesam Danji and Gramajan Jibitrazo Jai Nam Jora Jeda Rose. Beje Vajin Jiches Ozan Yishi Warmon Kodan Jibala, the Zemaze Jindon, the Brajan, Jump, J, the Manibono, the Jitokajins, the Japon Longo, Danjibai, Mantanjin, Damberje, Damjinam, Garon, Damji Jawan, Soma Marayonza, Soma Marayonza, Soma Marayonza, Soma Marayonza, Soma Marayonza. So Marayonza means mother who protects. So this basically this blessing is protection from the mothers. That we all come under guidance of a mother who gave us birth, but this song is called the protection from the nature of mother. So next one is the singing a song, chanting called the wisdom loving mother. They're pretty much the same kind. So I want, if you can read here, you can also join in with me. The idea a little bit, I want to share with you that wisdom, why we call the Shirap Chama, wisdom loving mother. So 18,000 years ago, this system, tradition that song come from. And the meaning is because the wisdom, we all, sometimes we lack of wisdom and also lack of compassion or love in order to bring the peace and the harmony. So that's why I call the wisdom loving mother. And mother, because also nature of mother always protecting. So either like you can see, even this morning when I come here, there's also mother tiger protecting. Even tiger is strong, but they're protecting the babies. So same thing, every one of us, we need a protection, be peace in the whole world. So this song, I want to sing it together that the whole world can feel and heard the protection, the female mother's guidance. So this song is we call the Wisdom Loving Mother song.
Yeah, you can play it. So maybe you can
Thank you everyone. Okay, so continue, keep going for supporting peace.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Acharya, I know I didn't ask you if you wanted to speak before, but my good friend Acharya, I've known him for about, 7 years, and he's in the Hindu tradition. Would you like to also offer a blessing quickly before Reverend Jeff speaks? Is that okay, Acharya? Yeah. Thank you so much. See, look at him. He can just work on the fly like this. Bless you.
Namaste. I'm very happy that Kathy, with whom I've worked in interfaith for a long time, she has given me this opportunity to say a few words to you. We believe that all human beings and living beings are the part of one family. There is one creator who has created everyone, regardless of the fact that we are using different words to address that ultimate reality. And there is no one on earth who does not want peace. Everybody is definitely, they want peace. So we all are working together, supporting, helping each other, and whatever we can contribute towards creating and cultivating the culture of peace, love, and harmony. I will end with one Sanskrit saying. Om. 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 Dyo Shanti. Antarikshagam Shanti. Prithvi Shanti. Rapa Shanti. Roshadaya Shanti. Vanaspateya Shanti. Visvedeva Shanti. Brahma Shanti. Sarvagam Shanti. Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Nidhi. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Acharya. And now it's my joy to turn it over for a few minutes to my colleague, my fantastic colleague, Jeff Rock, the coordinating minister here. He is so lucky.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff. Welcome to the Center for Peace. Our Center for Peace is connected, of course, to Canadian Memorial United Church, which is the neo-Gothic building that's just across the alley here. It's our church that was constructed in 1928 as a war memorial after World War I. The congregation that founded it, the Methodist congregation that later became a United Church congregation, had this dream when they built that war memorial that it be a war memorial for all Canadians here in Western Canada. And in it is contained the books of remembrance, which list all of the war dead from World War I, World War II, the Newfoundland regiments that fought before they were part of Canada, the Merchant Navy, and those who died in the Korean War. It's the only copy outside of the Peace Tower in Ottawa. So you folks from the Peace Train, when you're there, have a chance to look at that. Also in that building are 10 stained glass windows, fundraised for in and representing the 10 provinces and territories that existed in 1928. And the Cassavant organ was donated by Americans in memory of the Americans who came to Canada during World War I and died in the service of the Canadian Expeditionary Forces. So that building was built in 1928. This building was built in the 1990s as a place for us to do our programmatic work. We used to own the red brick condo building next door, and we sold that and built this building. And so when you hold those two things together, a war memorial church and a center for peace, they feel kind of, in some ways, some people might say diametrically opposed. But there's something that happens in this community that transcends logic. I say it fjords the differences between. And so this past Sunday, many people were wearing red poppies in memory of the veterans that died and white poppies in memory of the many victims and animals and innocent folks who die in war too. We hold remembering the horrors of war with our hopes for peacemaking together. So we're this very, for Vancouver anyway, old building. But we also have a rock band. And happening over there right now is a production of Godspell, the musical. And the folks that are doing it, their interpretation is Jesus is a drag queen being persecuted as the anti-trans, anti-drag movement, and Jesus is put to death by the anti-trans, anti-drag movement. So that gives you a little bit of a flavor of what happens in this space. You know, we've got this peace train kickoff. We have Godspell, the musical with Jesus as a drag queen. And this past Sunday, we had a Remembrance Day concert with the band of the 15th Field Regiment of the Royal Canadian Artillery. So what happens in this place is people, some of whom identify very much as Christians, come. My colleague is a Buddhist interfaith minister. I'm a minister of the Christian tradition, and we work together as the ministers in this place. We are a united church. We are rooted in the Christian tradition, but we're also very open. There are 5 different meditation and contemplation groups that meet in this place every week to do the work of meditation. We held an interfaith dialogue session with our good friend Haroon in March that brought together folks from all kinds of different traditions to talk about the conflict in Palestine and Israel. And then a week later, we held an interfaith iftar, and the Prime Minister came in this very room and met with Palestinian and Jewish leaders, who some of whom, you know, gave him a bit of an earful. Just a few. But what we try and do in this place, in the Center for Peace, is bring people together. And in the Christian tradition, the zenith of the worship service is the act of communion. You might know it as the Holy Eucharist. It's slightly different in many different Christian communities. You know, in the Roman Catholic tradition that believes in transubstantiation, it is the blood and body of Christ, and it remembers the last night and last meal of Jesus's life. But here in this place, we host an open communion, whether people are Christian or not. They're welcome to come and receive the little bit of bread and the little bit of de-alcoholized wine or grape juice as a symbol that we break one loaf and we drink of one cup. And I don't know, I just feel like food and a meal, whether it's a bit of soup or the symbolic little bit of juice and a little bit of bread, brings people together. And we remember that on the last night of Jesus's life, his friends and the person who would betray him ate a meal together. And throughout his life, Jesus had meals with all kinds of people across gender lines, across religious lines, with Roman tax collectors, with sex workers, with all kinds of people. So Jesus's whole thing was, you sit down and you have a meal together. You might not agree when you get up at the end of the meal, but maybe you've melted some of the differences between you. So as we were preparing for this day, we thought, you know what we should do? We should serve Ukrainian borscht and Palestinian lentil soup. But you know what? And many people made it. Guess what beet soup is called in Russia? Borscht. It's borscht on both sides of that border. And in Poland too, you know, it's petehe pierogis, borscht, 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 borscht. And in the same way, you know, in the Hebrew scriptures, there's a great story about Jacob and Esau, 2 brothers fighting over a bowl of lentil stew. But in the Palestinian tradition, there's lentil soup as well. And to me, what the peace train symbolizes at its ultimate best is a group of normal folks getting together with this harebrained idea that you'll take the Via train across Canada and meet with lawmakers. Sometimes it means conflicts arise and different ideas and hopes and dreams, and sometimes dashed hopes and dreams. And sometimes it means difficult conversations. But when we sit down and we share a meal together, and when we take a train together, and when we meet together, that's truly when the magic can happen. It means that all of us sometimes have to learn to bite our tongues, to let go of some of our deepest held beliefs so that we can meet each other at that table. We may not agree on everything, but as you mentioned, we all believe that peace is possible. And we're all here for the common purpose, whether religious or spiritual or neither, in the hopes that this peace train succeeds and meets objectives. So thank you to each and every single one of you for being here. Rock on and keep up the great work. And I think I've talked for long enough. One more thing, if you can pass any dirty dishes along to the end aisles, we have to wash the little plates before we can have dessert. And I know you want dessert.
We'll just wait a second.
You getting excited? I'm gonna come down to the train tomorrow for 2 o'clock, right? Yeah. We get to wave at you and you get on. You're gonna have your backpack.
All right, friends, thank you all so much. Please have a seat if you can. And many thanks to Jeff for his
Yes.
blessings.
Do you have your own?
And now it's my joy to introduce Reverend Margaret Markard,
Do you have your own?
and she has a letter from Bishop John Stevens. So over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd asked Bishop John for the Diocese of New Westminster, and our diocese goes from Powell River out to Hope for about 80 parishes. And I asked John if he might be able to be here tonight, but he wasn't able to. So he put together a letter. So this is very short, so I'm just going to read the letter. Dear friends, Canada has often prided itself on being a country of peace that has brought hope to many nations around the globe. The background of peacekeepers and peace builders has been less evident in the world of today, and it is important that we work to change that. Christians, and we're offering this from one part of the Christian tradition tonight, Christians are called to be peacemakers. We're called to turn our swords into plowshares. We are called to be people of forgiveness and to love our enemies. These are difficult words to live into, but we take them very seriously. They shape who we are and how we live and walk in the world. They affect how we view other people and how we want to be viewed. It is important work that seems to have less traction in a time when moving to an escalation of war seems our only option. Canada has historically tried to find ways of diplomacy rather than violence. And in 2024, it feels like the right time to reignite this important role in our country. The peace train is headed to Ottawa to discuss these very things and to seek the reestablishment of an institution focused on bringing about an end to war and seeking peaceful means to settle disputes. With war raging in a number of parts of our globe, this is the right time. It's the right time to build up our capacity to seek new paths and new possibilities. And some of you know the word kairos, different than chronos, and kairos means a moment in time, the right time. So I am grateful, he says, to the group that will meet up with members of our government, those who will travel on the peace train, urging a better response to the threat of war. Our world needs this. Our country needs this. We as individuals need this. Go in peace from John Stevens, our bishop, and he says blessings to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Margaret. And now our next speaker is Rabbi Adam Stein, if he's able to get here. I know we're really crammed in here. Thanks for all your patience, everybody. And yes, Rabbi Adam is at Beth Israel Congregation, and he has a few words for us. Is this a good height for you? Sorry, did I mess up here? Okay, good. Where did I mess up?
So a half hour, right? Is Jeff still? Yeah, I think I was supposed to be a Godspell, actually. I want to thank everyone who's spoken so far, and thank you, Kathy, for inviting me to speak here. It's really just such an honor to come and bring blessings for the peace train and for all the participants, and really my best wishes for your great success and great experiences that you'll have on this powerful journey you'll go on. And I was thinking today, what an amazing, amazing thing to travel across the country, spreading the message of peace and coexistence throughout your journey, both at the destination and along the way. And I was just looking at the poster over there about the different things that will be happening throughout the journey. And what better thing could there be to ask of the government than to fund a center of excellence for peace and justice focused on research and education and training, and to bring people together, to connect, and to make sure that as we heard about similar types of centers being closed in recent years, to reopen one or to create one that will do not just aspirational work, but real work. I want to say briefly, by the way, that it's such an honor not just to be asked to speak, but to speak in between Bishop John Stevens. We heard the letter read from him of the Anglican Archdiocese of New Westminster, and also right before, I think, Vicki Robinson from Women Wage Peace. Truly an honor, because the amazing work that both people and groups do, thinking of Women Wage Peace and the inspiration of Vivian Silver, may her memory be for a blessing. And also because, speaking just after Father Bishop John's letter was written, I developed a really, I think, a wonderful relationship and friendship with him in the past few years. I have a very funny story about the beginning of our friendship. You can ask me later. Now you're curious. I'm also just so happy to be here for the launch of the Multifaith Calendar this year as well. The theme is Pathways to Peace. And what an amazing purpose to put out a calendar each year. And I've had it up in on my wall each year. And I was just looking through the new one for 2025. And I'll put it up on my wall in the next month or two. But what a beautiful inspiration to see the art and description, and the beautiful art for each month, and the descriptions of the holidays of, and some of you have them on the tables already, description of the holidays from so many different religions and faith traditions, and even describing several pages in the back, describing the different types of calendars that each faith tradition has. What I want to share with you tonight, truly though, is that this amazing gathering makes me think of two important lines from Jewish tradition. The ones that I planned, actually, there's a third one that I hadn't planned because someone earlier, maybe 3 or 4 speakers ago, mentioned just the phrase in English, choose life. And in the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament, that's a major line that we focus on a lot in the Jewish tradition. It's from Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. Moses saying that the heavens and the earth will be the witnesses that I'm calling upon you to choose life. You have life, you have death. Choose life. It's what gives us our laws about making sure to put aside any other things like laws about the Sabbath, etc., or kosher laws, in order to save someone's life or to do something that's going to help directly with someone's health. But it also brings us to peace. But the two lines I was thinking of, one of them, both of them really are lines from the Bible or Jewish tradition or prayers that are often sung to many beautiful and powerful melodies, especially as people gather together. And one of them is the line that comes at the end of two of the most central and important prayers in Judaism. One is the Amidah. We call it the word just means standing, but it's the central standing prayer that is the highlight of any morning, afternoon, or evening prayer service in Judaism. And it's also at the end of the Kaddish, a prayer about God's holiness, but often used to remember loved ones who have passed away. So this line that starts with the words Oseh Shalom in Hebrew asks that God, who Oseh Shalom, who makes peace up there in the heights, that God also make peace for us, those who have gathered together. Peace for all of Israel, in this case meaning the people of Israel, the Jewish people, but of course, peace for the land of Israel is something I pray for every day, as do countless of others throughout the world. And then this prayer, in the form that's said by many, asks also for peace for all who dwell on earth. And that's why we're here tonight. When we read and hear about such awful conflicts in so many places around the world, and we wish that they would just cease, and that animosity, new and historical and real, would someday disappear. And the other line that this reminds me of, just being here, also from our Jewish tradition and directly from the Bible. I think it's Psalm 133, the last line of that psalm. The words are, Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, tov, and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters, for people to sit together in unity. And here we are, an amazing gathering, sitting together, dwelling together in unity. I think I'll end, as I was thinking about being here tonight, earlier today, I started singing just one of many melodies to this song. I can't even remember who wrote this one, but to me, this melody just brings inspiration along with the words about how wonderful it is to gather together. So I'll just end by singing that a couple times. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rabbi Adam. And now I'm very happy to turn it over to Vicki Robinson from Women Wage Peace, which if you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to love it. I promise. I'll put it down a bit for you here, Vicki. Can I give you a hand? Yeah, thank you so much.
It's so good to be
You
here
gotta be a little
and
closer, the
to
mic is up.
see everyone and those who are going on the train and those who are supporting those who are going on the train and those of us who wish we were going on the train. But I want to tell you a little bit about Women Wage Peace. Some of you may have heard about it, some of you may not. And I have several Women Wage Peace sisters here. I've Naomi, Jane, Jenny. Anyone who's wearing an outfit that looks vaguely like this is from Women Wage Peace. Women Wage Peace was founded in 2014 in Israel and was joined closer.
Sorry, just so they can hear you, okay? There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. 2014 and in 2021, a courageous group of Palestinian women joined us and we are sister organizations now, Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun. And we were this year nominated for the Nobel Prize. We didn't, which was an honor. We didn't receive the prize, but it was a great honor just to be nominated. And in Israel, Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun are the largest peace organization in Israel. We have over 50,000 members. And we do, we're just a varied group, somewhat similar to here. We have old and young and everything in between. We have politically from the left, the middle, and the right. We have Jewish women, we have Druze women, we have Bedouin women, we have Arab women. We have just a wonderful group of varied women who are working for the cause of peace. And we don't believe that peace is a utopia, which I don't think anyone in this room, I think everybody would agree with that. But we see it as a way of a foundation so that our children and our children's children may live in peace. And that is our goal. We carry out our activities, meetings, marches, definitely just things that can bring, anything that can bring people together. And one of the most important things that we are doing now is training. And training, we are training women to step up and be part of the solution, be part at all different levels of government to make a difference. And it's been proven in many conflict zones in many parts of the world that when women do step up, that peace happens. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with what happened in Ireland and what happened in Liberia and I personally have worked in a number of conflict zones in the world and have watched women who have had this kind of training be able to fit into government and be able to make the kinds of changes that are required so that peace will come. And one of the reasons that we're here tonight is that we want to ask you to sign what is the Mother's Call. The Mother's Call was written by Women of the Sun and Women Wage Peace, and it is essentially asking for people to step up and people to think about the future generations and think about what we are going to do to make them have a world that they can live in. And what we are asking you to do is to take, and we have copies which we're giving to Kathy, and we're asking you personally to sign it, and I'm going to read it to you, to sign it and to take it with you on the train, and to anyone you encounter on the train who you think might like to sit down and talk to, see if they would like to sign it. And most importantly, when you get to Ottawa, you're going to be meeting with politicians, you're going to be meeting with bureaucrats, you're going to be meeting, I think, with some ordinary Canadians, and encourage them all to sign the Mother's Call. Some very big leaders in our world have already signed it, and we think that this is going to help. So I want to read to you the Mother's Call, which I have here somewhere. We Palestinian and Israeli women from all walks of life are united in the human desire for a future of peace, freedom, equality, rights, and security for our children and the next generations. We believe that the majority of the people of our nations also share our mutual desire. Therefore, we demand that our leaders listen to our call and promptly begin peace talks and negotiations with a determined commitment to achieving a political solution to the long and painful conflict within a limited time frame. We call on the peoples of both nations, Palestinian and Israeli, and peoples of the region to join our call and demonstrate their support for the resolution of the conflict. We call on the women of the world to stand by us for a future of peace and security, prosperity, dignity, and freedom for ourselves, our children, and the people of the region. We call on people of peace from all around the world, both young and old, religious leaders, people of influence, community leaders, educators, and those who hold this issue close to their hearts to add their voices to our call. We invite our leaders to heed the voice and will of the peoples in this call to resolve the conflict and achieve an inclusive, just peace. We are committed to taking an active role in the negotiation process until its successful resolution in line with UN Resolution 1325. We call on our leaders to show courage and vision to bring about this historical change to which we all aspire. We join hands in determination and to bring hope back to our peoples. And there will be papers distributed, and you can sign those, or you can click and sign online if you would prefer to do that. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here. It's a great honor. Thank you so much for
Take 1 minute here. This is the Mother's Call. We're going to give Kathy quite a few of these letters. The website is at the bottom, so you have to go online to the website and sign it. When you're on the website, I highly recommend you spend a few minutes reading, because it's quite remarkable what women in this war zone have been doing and working together and accomplishing. Yeah, that's about it. Now we're going to have a little clip of a peace march. They didn't have a train. They used their feet. They walked across Israel and Palestine, Israelis, Arabs, Palestinians, Druze, and Bedouin women in 2016. So this is a little clip from that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I always love doing work with Women Wage Peace. And I can actually share that in late September, we showed a film here together. Knowledge is the Beginning, this beautiful film about the West East Divin Orchestra, about young Israelis and Palestinian and Arab kids that are in an orchestra together. We had about 75 people in this room, and we watched the film together. Afterwards, we had small group discussions, and we'd love to keep doing those. So now we're talking about in the year ahead, maybe every other month or every month, to show films about Israel and Palestine and have these discussions about it so we can keep working together. So thank you so much. And you'd all be welcome to come to that. Please come. It'll be wonderful. And now it's my joy to turn it over to my friend Haroon, who's so lovely, who's here today. So thank you, Haroon. And he is the director of El Jamia El Masjid, which is the oldest mosque in BC, and which isn't that far from here. It's just about 2 kilometers.
8 blocks, yeah.
So yes, I got to make this taller for you. Here you go, Haroon.
Let's give a hand for Kathy. There we go. She's our dynamo. All right. Okay. Well, as we say, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Shalom sounds about the same thing. Means peace. Namaste. I salute the divine in you. You know, greetings. Being together here today is a real blessing. And when I got the invitation, I didn't hesitate. I didn't think twice. But I did have something happen today that was difficult. I attended a funeral today, and it was for my auntie, my bro Furkan Galen is here as well. We attended this funeral. I've known Furkan since we were 5-6 years old. He's worked with a World Without War for many, many years. And he's worked with a number of organizations within our Islamic community to build bridges of understanding and unity amongst all people. And it's important that each and every one of us, no matter what your faith, we all believe in the same thing. There is an inclination of peace. It's our natural state to be in peace, to fight for freedom, because freedom, as much as we think that here in Canada, we take it for granted. That yes, you're going to wake up today, you're going to go about your day, you're going to eat, you're going to have fun, you're going to work, you're going to toil, you'll do whatever it is, and come back home safe and sound and do it all over again the next day. But it doesn't work that way in many places around the world. And we see this, and we see the tragedy that has been unfolding in this last year and for the past 75 years, and injustices that people have faced, our Aboriginal people on whose unceded territory that we all call our home, that we share the land together. We somehow have to work together to build those bridges, the bridges that are sturdy, the bridges that don't get blown up, the bridges that are firm. And those bridges are not just from one destination to another, but these are bridges to our hearts, bridges to our souls, the eternal soul that we all share. We're all here for a sense of purpose and direction, and we are all in this together. Each and every one of us, we're all from somewhere, someplace else. Your parents were born here, your grandparents were there, but here we are, collectively a diverse group of people enjoying a bowl of borscht, together. And having a great time. And, when we see people come together and supporting a project of a peace train, that's very noble. And I salute each and every one of you who are going to be on that train. It's very important. This is not a train to nowhere. This is a train of purpose. This is a train not just going from across Canada to Ottawa, but this is a train that will bridge not just destinations, it will bridge heart and soul. So I salute each and every one of you. Now, in our tradition, we have the opening of the surah. This is the opening prayer of every prayer that we have. It's called Surat al-Fatiha. I will recite it in Arabic, and then I will give you the English translation. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of the most gracious, the most merciful, all praises for Allah, God, Lord of the worlds, the most compassionate, the most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and in you alone we depend. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those you are displeased with or those who are astray. This is the words that are expressed here are heard in almost every prayer from every faith. And we ask the Almighty to forgive us for our wrongdoings, our mistakes, whatever. No one is perfect. But we ask that they accept the good things that we do or that we try to do, that we strive to do, to bless, protect, and guide us all. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Arun. So there's a song called One Day. I don't know how many people here know it. It's one of my favorite songs. And so I'm going to play the video for that now. And hopefully you can read the little description on it. But if you can't, this was from, I think it was 2018. And this is Matisse Yahoo, who is an Israeli reggae artist, which I didn't even know was a genre, except for him. But it's this beautiful song he wrote. And this group, Kulam, actually brought together 3,000 people in Haifa, which is an area that has lots and lots of Palestinian Israelis and Jewish Israelis. And they sang this song together for peace. So I'm going to play that now. And I should say, so I've been involved with the Compassionate Listening Project since 2008. That was when I went on my first delegation to Israel and Palestine in the West Bank. And I used to actually teach compassionate listening there. I did a lot of dialogue work, bringing Israelis and Palestinians together. And usually now when I mention it to people, I said, yes, you can see I was very successful based on how things are today. But I'm very happy. On the train, I'm actually going to be teaching compassionate listening. So I'll be going on the train with my whole family, my husband and dad and both kids. And I'm very happy to get to teach compassionate listening there and use these same skills because they're so needed in Israel, Palestine, but also here in Canada. So thank you. And now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Ellen Woodsworth, who's been doing lots of different peace projects that she has a lot to tell you about. So when you're ready, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and thank the host of this event tonight. I have to thank Jace, who is such an amazing man who's going on this peace train, but he was on the Ottawa peace train that Women's International League for Peace and Freedom organized. And then we were crazy enough, and Joy Masahara was on the Ottawa Peace Caravan, and also the Voice of Women Walk for Peace. And Patsy George is the co-president of WILF Canada. And we're part of an organization that's 125 years old. WILF International has chapters in over 50 countries around the world. And we led the fight for Section 1325 to get women involved in working for peace, not being on the front lines of war. We want to make clear that is not what we were fighting for. And I'd like to acknowledge the unceded territory, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. I'd like to acknowledge the genocide in Gaza, the wars in Sudan, the warmongering against China. We're in very dangerous times because a few days ago, an extreme right-wing organization led by an insane performer became leaders of the United States of America. The good news is that only 30% of Americans voted in that election. But the people who are being appointed by Trump are extremely right-wing, and they're uneducated, and they will use any means they need to, including artificial intelligence, to push out their propaganda. So we live in different times than even when we left here on May the 12th, on Mother's Day, to travel across country and speak in over 17 cities across the country, with Joy leading us in song, which she will do shortly. And then we joined the Voice of Women for Peace and 12 other organizations which were part of the onto the Walk for Peace, including Jai Jagat, a peace organization following Gandhian principles, from India, International Physicians Against Nuclear War, and a number of different groups. We think right now that it's not actually nation states, it's the military-industrial complex that's perpetuating war. They're the only ones winning. It's not the countries, it's not the citizens, it's those extremely wealthy people. So when we talk about peace, we have to reveal what is behind the wars. It's not the citizens. And we have to realize that they have very dangerous weapons that they're using to gain more power. And we all know that all of these things are destroying the environment, and that is one of the most serious things that changes it from World War II, is that these new wars are destroying the planet. One of the things that we thought about as we were organizing the On to Ottawa Peace Caravan is we really had to learn different ways to talk with each other, because, well, we've got some amazing documents that we hope you'll use as you go across. Canada's carbon footprint. We have one, NATO as a threat to people and the planet. Another one, the need for disarmament, Canada, NATO, and the threat of nuclear weapons. We showed that the Canadian defense budget is $50 billion, and that doesn't include emissions, because the Americans wouldn't agree to join in counting of wars and war weaponry if it had to include emissions. So we thought, what is it that is grabbing people today? And I think we saw the Republicans understood what it was, and that it had to be spelled in very simple terms, which is what Polyev is doing also. Very simple terms: the need for housing, the inflation, the inability to find jobs, the rise in education costs. And now we can include in that the refugees that are going to be kicked out of the States and definitely need home, the 30 million refugees on the road, the genocide in Gaza that Canada has not stood up against. And we can say we want Canada to be a peacekeeping country. I think everybody in this room wants Canada to be a peacekeeping country. We do not want $49 billion of the Canadian budget to go to defense. And that's not only not including emissions, but it doesn't include all kinds of other aspects. When we were walking through Nova Scotia, we found out that the Canadian government and the Nova Scotia government are spending, was it $15 billion on Navy frigates. I mean, there's all these expenses, the fighter jets. One flyover of the fighter jets that the Canadian government has just bought 15 of spends one hour of flyover is 700 gallons of fuel. So these things are all interconnected. But if we stay up at NATO, if we stay up at some of the things that we know about war and we know about militarism, we're not catching people. We have to talk where people are. What are their fears? What are they desperately needing around healthcare, an aging population? Many of us here are desperate for good quality healthcare, for care homes. Younger people are looking for childcare centers. Many people are looking for affordable housing. So we have to learn and speak the language that people are feeling deeply in their lives as we turn the swords into plowshares, as the old expression was. So that's what we're trying to do as Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, is tie climate change and war together, because that is really what's creating the disasters in the planet. And with the new appointments by Trump, we're in really big trouble if we don't expose that and ask for whoever gets elected at any level of government to oppose that relationship of militarism and the destruction of the planet and the need to address our social needs and to implement the Truth and Reconciliation demands. Almost, there's still about 13 left. But if you look at the two-spirit, murdered and missing women and Indigenous women and girls demands that came out of the Walk for Justice sisters, like almost none of those 512 demands at all are even referred to by people when they speak, let alone implemented. And if we go down to the marches in the downtown east side or in the marches in many places, if we're going to the Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Show and we hear about the red dress, Indigenous women are being attacked and murdered and put in dumps in Winnipeg, but all across the country. And when we have to talk about those things. And I think in finding peace, that's what happened to me as I was just agonizing about what the genocide that was happening in Gaza. And it was out of that, really deeply going into my agony and pain and sorrow, that I came up with the idea of the On to Ottawa Peace Caravan. So I think we have to be open in our agonies as well as our peacefulness to come at the answers and the truths that will bring people together. More than ever, we need to work together. And I'm so excited. I almost came along with you, but this time I have to stay home and think about the federal election, because it's going to come soon. And if we don't speak in the terms that people will understand, there's going to be a right-wing government in Canada, and we know that. So we have to reach people where they are and speak to their needs and say there is a budget that's been paid for by the Canadian taxpayer that could be used to address your needs. And there are parties that will do that. Poilievre will not do that. He will follow in Trump's footsteps. And there's so many things I could say, but we left our flyers just at the front door with some of our peace buttons, and our slogan is demilitarize, decarbonize, decolonize. So we hope that you'll take some of those buttons and you'll wear them. And it's such a pleasure to be here with you. Joy's going to talk a little bit about the Walk for Justice, and later on she's going to lead us in some singing.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, I'm the only thing keeping you from dessert, so I'll try to be fast. I just wanted to give you a little sense of this really incredible thing that happened in Nova Scotia, Mi'kma'ki. It's the Indigenous name for it, and that happened in September of this year. The On to Ottawa Peace Caravan, where we drove across Canada to Ottawa, and then there was another group from Halifax that drove from Halifax to Ottawa. We all met in Ottawa. So this group in Halifax, they had already been planning with the Voice of Women for Peace, Jai Jagat that Ellen mentioned, which is a Gandhian, a nonviolent group in India. They've done many, many walks in India. And actually there were 50 or more walks in India going on at the same time as we were walking in Nova Scotia. There was parallel walks. Nothing like the walk we just saw on the movie. This was like a ragtag group of about 20 people walking through the meadows and landscape of Nova Scotia. We started in Pugwash. There were a bunch of other groups as well that were part of the walk. We started in Pugwash. I had no idea what Pugwash was or where it was or anything. Anyways, if you don't know about Pugwash, is a National Historic Site that's like really, really a significant place, and there's a Pugwash group that still exists. Actually, they were part of the walk as well. So if you don't know what Pugwash is, it's this tiny little community that Cyrus Eaton was born in and had a summer house there. And during the 1950s, when there was more nuclear, well, there's more nuclear threat now, but anyway, there was high nuclear threat then. He gathered international nuclear scientists together to try and see how they could influence and change, the global situation. And so there's this museum. His summer house is still there. It's a museum. Joseph Rotblat, who was one of the nuclear physicists on the Manhattan Project, he won a Nobel Peace Prize. His Nobel Peace Prize is in the museum. And so it's quite an incredible place, right on the water, very picturesque. And the whole village is it's a tiny little village, has been made into this kind of peace museum there. It's a very beautiful place if you haven't been there. That's where we started from. The museum actually let us stay there overnight. So we had our night at the museum there. and then we started there. We started the high school there. Because that high school has declared themselves a nuclear weapons-free zone, only high school in Canada that has done that. So we started there. They kind of walked with us. We had a beautiful water ceremony by Doreen Bernard, an Indigenous Mi'kmaq elder there. And then we had this incredible experience of two of her sort of grassroots grandmothers, they're called, joined us on the entire walk, from the 200 kilometers from Pugwash to Halifax. And so if you can imagine this, we had this international group, we had our Gandhian peace walkers, we had two Buddhists, so one Japanese Buddhist monk who had his fan drum and chanted the entire walk. So there were some days we walked 8 hours, he chanted the entire 8 hours. And then we had these two fierce Mi'kmaq
grandmothers at the head, leading us through their land. And it was really incredible. The one, if you see any of the social media images, there's the one who had so much energy and playing her drum in the front of us, and the rest of us walking along with all our banners and rainbow flags and everything else. And then there's our Japanese Buddhist monk with his drum also playing, and often not in sync with, the drums were never in sync to tell you, this was the walk for peace, but it wasn't always peaceful. And so it'll be really interesting to get together with all the peace train people later, because it was absolute chaos. Like the peace caravan and the walk for peace, absolute chaos. And we had, just a bunch of people come together, didn't know each other at all. Lots of different opinions about lots of different things, and lots of logistics. We were never on time for anything. We never left on time. It was beautiful smudge ceremony every morning. But we had 20 or more people that needed to be smudged. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony every morning, and it was very powerful. But that meant another half hour at least of time before we could get onto the road walking. So we were never on time for anything, and we never left on time. But we were walking like 20 kilometers plus a day, because it took us.
There's the path. You can see.
Oh yeah, all right. There were times we'd walk past fields of cows. Every single cow stopped what they were doing and raised their heads and looked at us, like it was uncanny. But we had this drum going pretty much the entire time. So the other things we did, the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, they were part of our group, and they and others, we had some teachers, Science for Peace was also another group. They went into the schools along the way teaching about nuclear disarmament, which was pretty incredible, because we were trying to get people to sign the petition for the treaty for prohibition of nuclear weapons. That was another sort of a part of it. That's why we started in Pugwash. That was a very symbolic thing that we were trying to do. Anyway, I really, really wish you really, just well on your peace train. Know that there will be times when you're wondering, why did I ever decide to do this? But it really is about hope. That's really what it's about. Are we going to change the world? I don't know. I don't know what impact we had at all on the peace caravan or the walk. But what I thought, in the peace caravan, because we stopped every single country, every single, major city along the way to Ottawa. It was like, like a band road trip. Like it was there every night. We had an event that we had to be at, to speak at, that other people had organized. And what it was, I think, was really a giving and receiving of hope, because it was really beautiful. All the people, and in Mi'kma'ki as well, the people that we just, along the road, they would run out of their house and say, "What are you doing?" We said, "We're walking to Halifax," and got into conversations with them. And so if you can do that, like on the train, go talk to people on the train. Go to, just walk, you're waiting for the bathroom or whatever. Just, we would talk to people at gas stations as well. And then, Nova Scotia is a very military province. So it was interesting being there and seeing the military presence there, and the economy that is very key to, tied to the military. So anyway, wish you just really well, all of you peace trainers. And we all, we're gonna have a museum of all these T-shirts of our peace efforts around the world. And so I'll stop there. Have great dessert now, and we'll talk to you later.
I have another idea. I have these ideas, and they're all doable. And my suggestion is that next spring we get people all over Canada to walk or ride or drive or gallop or whatever, skip, I don't care, that we go to Ottawa for peace. this is my dream. So when you come back, let's get together and talk about if this is possible, because we could start from wherever we are. We could walk along the Trans-Canada Trail, or we could have batons of peace that we pass on to the next village. But we have to build the movement of peace. We have to put that out there and talk to people about what's really robbing their futures, whether it's their possibility of affordable housing or whatever it is, that's being stolen from them as Canada engages in the military-industrial complex. And we could do that. We could do that together. And this is, what you're doing is the fourth Ottawa Peace Caravan, because the National Council of Women had a great peace event on Parliament Hill. There's all kinds of people rising up. We have to connect with each other and weave that web.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So yes, there is some dessert now, but only if you promise to come back. So let's say that we come back at 8:30, and there's going to be some more music, and you don't want to miss the music, and then we're going to hear about the Multifaith Calendar. So come back at 8:30, but there will be dessert out there in the washrooms. Thank you so much.
He said he's gonna come. He said he got the
You need me to carry anything when I'm going?
I'm not sure.
All right, folks, if you could come on in and have a seat. Otherwise, you're going to be having to sing and dance this next part. So just if you don't sit down, then you're one of the dancers, just as a heads up. So I'm very happy. Our next talk is going to be with Elizabeth Tanner and Stephen Tanner, and they're involved with and Sheila Cook, who's coming on the train. Elizabeth and Sheila are coming on the train, and it's for the Dances of Universal Peace. So they have some music for us and dancing. So over to you. You can't take it out because it's going to think. Yeah.
Well, greetings all, and thank you for being here. And I feel so fortunate. I feel I've received so many blessings already. And I'm very excited to go on the train. I am a member of a dance community that meets regularly in the Lower Mainland here. And the dances are called Dances of Universal Peace. Throughout history, dance, movement, music, song has been important to humankind. They have been used to bring people together for celebrations, for ceremony. They have been used to express joy, grief, sorrow, but also hope. The Dances of Universal Peace were brought to North America by Murshid Sam. He was a Sufi teacher and a Zen master. The dances are inspired by sacred phrases from all faith traditions that are set to music and to movement. And the intention is to connect us with our heart, to connect us together, to create a sense of unity, and to remind us that we are all an expression of the sacred. We are all an expression of the Creator. The song that I have chosen for tonight is called Mir, Miru, Mir. Those are Russian words. And in the Russian language, Mir means both peace and earth. So Mir, Miru, Mir is basically peace on earth. So the words go like this. Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength, that peace may reign and war may cease. Mir, Miru, Mir. So I would like if you could repeat after me, and then Sheila and Stephen are helping me sing it. So repeat after me. Spirit of peace. Spirit of peace. To your cause we give our strength. That love may reign, and war may cease. Mir, Miru, Mir. We are going to sing it, and we'll just keep repeating it. And as soon as you feel comfortable, please chime in and sing with us. Okay, you go. Sheila is the better singer, so she's by the microphone.
Oh, I know what I need to do here. Just a second. Do we need it higher or lower? Higher, please. Higher? Yeah. Do you want to get closer, Steve?
Are you singing?
I don't know if you can hear our instruments, but oh, okay. How fast do you want to go? 1, 2. Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength. That love may reign and war may cease. Mir, miru, mir. Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength. That love may reign and war may cease. Mir, miru, mir. Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength. That love may reign and war may cease. Mir, miru, mir.
The movements are like this. So for spirit of peace, peace has to start in our heart. So we put our hands on our heart. Spirit of peace. To your cause we give your strength. So we stretch our arms out and put it on each other's shoulders. Because peace is something we have to do together. And together we are stronger. And then that love may reign and war may cease. We can turn around and spread the love into the world. You might want to get up and just move the chairs in. That might work better.
Here, you got us. We got to work the borscht stuff.
Yes.
Are we not going to try? You can just say
And then for mir, miru, vir, mir, miru, mir, we bow. Usually we dance this in a circle. And actually, could I have maybe 10 volunteers to form a circle here?
extra cookies.
Maybe this chair is.
Wonderful.
Okay, so maybe I'll go.
Yeah, you go.
Okay, maybe we'll just get short. I'll try not to sit on anything important. Do you want to just try and come in a little closer and we'll try and catch? It's not going to catch your voice. Catch your voice.
And then we open up and put our hands on each other's shoulders and keep walking. And then we turn on our spots. And then we bow to the middle with near, to each other and to the earth. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so we have to
Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength, that love may reign and war may cease. Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength. Love may reign and war may cease. Spirit of peace, to your cause we give our strength. Love may reign and war may cease.
No, a bit slower. Because you guys were faster than me.
Okay. Mir, miru, mir.
Thank you for participating.
Oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth, Stephen, and Sheila. Thank you. And now, this event is also the Multifaith Calendar launch. So Bernard, I see Bernard, he's way out there. If you're ready to come in. So this year, the Multifaith Action Society is actually the oldest interfaith organization in Canada. It's about as old as I am. And so it's very, very young, of course. And yes, so it's been around for quite a while. And every year they produce this fantastic calendar. And I was actually on the board for a few years. And I was a part of the team that would pick the artwork for the calendar. And it was amazing. And and this year, the theme of the calendar is Pathways to Peace. So when Bernard and I were talking about it, we thought it'd be a perfect time to unveil the calendar at this event. So.
If you don't mind, I'll
Yes.
take that either right or left, doesn't matter.
There we go. Right here.
Sorry. Well, thank you, Kathy. As Kathy mentioned, I work with the Multifaith Action Society, which is a provincial nonprofit charitable organization. We're actually just over at the Unitarian Church, over at 49th and Oak. And we publish the Multifaith Calendar every year, and this is year number 39. And so it's been around since 1986, and it was actually the brainchild of a couple of professors, one professor at UBC at the time, Chuck Anderson, and another fellow, David Spence, and another individual, Ed Adulje. And they put together this calendar primarily for Chuck's religions course at UBC. So it started as a resource for the classroom, and over the years it's grown. And what we do now is we include original artwork. So we put out a call for submissions to visual artists across the country, and we're lucky enough to have one of our artists in the 2025 calendar with us tonight. We'll get to that in a minute or two. And so we put out a call for submissions. We generate in excess of about 250 artists submitting pieces for consideration. And our team pulls together, a creative concept and based on the theme. And so we come up with a visually stunning, and of course, in terms of content, that's what we promote. Is it highlights 14 different world religions and the various holidays and holy days associated with each of the religions. So it's really meant as a bridge building tool, a resource for classrooms, for discussion, for breaking down barriers, that kind of thing. So it's very multifaceted in its resourcefulness. And so we again, we distribute across Canada and in the United States, and we're lucky to have a group of distributors across Canada who use it as a fundraising tool. They're primarily nonprofit organizations themselves, so they promote it to their communities and clientele, and so it's actually turned out to be a very useful resource. We print about 12,000 copies, so they get distributed and sold across, as I say, Canada and the US, and we have some international sales as well once in a while. And we also, to partner that, we put out, we publish an online version of the calendar as well. And it's not intended for individual use, unfortunately, at this point. We're kind of looking at our options for individual, maybe an app or something like that. But the online version is meant for organizations, institutions, school districts to buy it and then make that available to their teachers, to their students. So I think we have over 30 partners now, including BCIT, UBC here in British Columbia, some major school districts in Ontario. So it's really taken root, and so we can proudly say that we're looking forward to edition number 40 next year, 2026, when the theme will be growth and change. Don't everybody jump up and down. Really, it'll once we do the write-up about it, it'll get your attention. So I'll introduce Rachel, who's one of our board members, and she will give a little bit of background about Ann Hilton, who's our September featured artist. And for those of you who've already bought the calendar from us tonight. Thank you so much. We do have some left at the table in the back, and we'll be there to help you out if you want one or two. Thanks.
Thanks, Bernard. I'm Rachel. I'm a board member with the Multifaith Action Society for the past year and a half or so. And I grew up in Vancouver, but I was born a Mennonite in Winnipeg. So I'm not surprised you have a bunch joining you on your journey. So it's my pleasure this evening to introduce Anne Hilton, who is our featured September 2025 artist. Anne Hilton spent her early years in Ottawa. Her father was in the Royal Canadian Air Force, and they were transferred to France for 2 years, where her dad was involved with NATO. From there, they were in Camp Borden, Ontario, and then back to Ottawa. She went to Queen's University and then transferred to the nursing program at UBC. After graduation, she spent several years in Toronto doing clinical nursing and then teaching at U of T. While in Toronto, she also got her master's in nursing. She then moved to Vancouver and taught at UBC for over 30 years. During that time, she earned her doctoral degree in Texas. She retired almost 20 years ago as a professor at UBC School of Nursing. With all her travels, she gained many experiences and appreciation of other cultures and ways of being. Her interest in art started when she was very young and continues to this day. Together with art, she loves to golf and play tennis, so her days are taken up with her friends and the things she loves to do. So please welcome Anne Hilton.
Thank you. I'm more than moved with what you are doing here, and that the train was getting to go tomorrow. That's just so incredible, and I wish you all the best for travels and gathering more and more people as you travel along towards Ottawa. So yes, I was interested in art at a kind of an early age. I still remember, I think it might have been grade 1 when I was living in Ottawa, and our class went to a church that had all the accoutrements, and when I came back and I was drawing and painting the church, and people saying, what is that? And I thought, so it just became of interest to me. When we moved to France, I ended up taking lessons with a French woman artist who didn't speak English. And so we struggled, and I learned a little more French as we went along. And that was in oils. And since then, I've trialed with acrylics, but I always came back to watercolor. That there's something about watercolor where the colors, if you let them do what they're supposed to do and not fiddle, then they can really create magic. And it's so since I've retired, I've done more painting, and I've really enjoyed sort of painting in different ways, in different scenes with people and animals and landscapes. And the theme of Pathways to Peace, made me think of the cruise I did in Iceland just a year or so back. And there was this town, and does anybody speak Icelandic here? It's Seyðisfjörður. And I guess fjordur is any fjord, but this is where this scene really struck me, because it was a little white church, but leading up to the church was the pathway to peace with the LGBTQ colors, and it really struck me. And I thought, I think maybe I'll see if the calendar might be interested. So I really enjoy, sort of watercolor painting, and I've certainly enjoyed doing this. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anne. and Bernard and Rachel. And I also just have to lift up Rachel because there are, I guess, only 11 people in Vancouver. Rachel we work together in multiple capacities. She's actually the managing director of my interfaith congregation, the Living Interfaith Sanctuary, and she's fantastic. So if you ever need someone to help you organize an interfaith thing or a restorative justice thing, she's amazing. So thanks for being here tonight, Rachel. And now Jeff Rock is going to send the peace trainers off on our way. We're almost at 9 o'clock.
So friends, some of us are religious. Some of us are spiritual. Some of us are neither. But we're all here for one common purpose, right? No matter what our multicolored hue, what our place on the rainbow, what our spiritual background or belief, we're all here for one common purpose, because we believe in peace. So I'm going to invite all of the people who are going on the peace train. If you are able to, could you please stand? So some of us would call this a blessing. Some of us would call this well wishes. Some of us would call this break a leg. But my friends, as you go all aboard, go knowing that you take with you the blessing of all these people, the well wishes of a whole community that is behind you, the spirits of all of us who are there on the train with you. All across this country, there are people who are cheering you on. So choo-choo, choose peace, go knowing you are blessed and a blessing. Amen.
Amazing. Thank you, Jeff. And now you can be seated. We only have a few minutes left, I promise. Jeff did tell me he and I have been in conversations about doing a series of peace talks here in this space, getting some global leaders and thinkers around peace. And that's something we're hoping to launch in the new year. And maybe some of us here know something about peace now and might know some people who would like to come speak here. So let's keep that conversation going. And now this concludes our live stream. So thank you so much to our folks on live stream. It was wonderful having you tonight. Many thanks to Jace Tanner, who is organizing so many things tonight. You're amazing, Jace. So grateful. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Joy, who's going to lead us in a sing-along of course, the song Peace.